Hi, my name is Carl Kutsmode. I'm SVP of Consulting at TalentRise, and we help startups and high growth companies drive business performance through talent. Today, I am interviewing a rather interesting individual that I was introduced to recently and who works with some of our clients. Her name is Robyn Levin. She's a digital and video PR and marketing consultant who works with entrepreneurs as well to really help them create and promote their company brands in today's highly competitive market. So Robyn has a rather interesting entrepreneurial career path. And rather than me try and explain it, she has a wonderful video that I'm going to have her play. It takes 2 minutes, so bear with us. I think you'll find it to be very interesting. And then we're going to jump into a Q&A, and Robyn will share some of her tips and wonderful insights as to how to help your business grow your brand. So Robyn, I'm going to turn it over to you, and we'll watch your little video there.
Thank you, Carl. Okay, let's do that. Hi, I'm Robyn Levin, brand builder, PR strategist, former competitive figure skater, and the creator of the Cocktail Napkin Plan marketing app on iTunes. For 15 years, I've been helping entrepreneurs rapidly grow their business, and I've celebritized them in the major media, including getting feature stories in the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Time Magazine, Money Magazine, and even on the Today Show. You could say that I got my competitive edge at the age of 2 when I began figure skating. My mom was a professional skater and she got us started very early. I became a true entrepreneur in my 30s when I purchased a 40,000 square foot bankrupt ice skating arena in Florida, of all places. So my first tip to you is, if you hear that you're crazy when you share your ideas, think twice, because you just may be onto something big. But do your research first. I turned the business into a money-making multiplex ice arena. And I remember a conversation I had when being interviewed by Money Magazine, and they said, "Huh, Robyn, you're a real risk taker, aren't you?" And I thought, I never thought about it that way, but I guess you have a point. Tip number 2, follow your passion and the profits will follow. I got that advice once and I took them literally, and it worked for me, and you can do it too. My 3 keys to success, and I still use them today: leverage the power of PR, create strategic alliances, and perseverance. For example, I created strategic alliances and advertising sponsorships with Coke, Subway, and the NHL. My 3rd tip to you is to be open to new possibilities and really listen to your customers' wish list. They guide you to success. After I sold my business and took time off, I started R. Levin Marketing Group in San Francisco 12 years ago to help celebritize entrepreneurs and grow their business. It gives me great pleasure to see my clients featured in the major media. Okay, well,
All
thank you,
right.
Carl. Thank you for having me here and for sharing my little background story. And I figure, well, since we're talking all digital and PR and strategic partnerships, some things still hold value and hold true today, even though we're in a very fast moving marketing world.
Absolutely. And today more than ever, especially for entrepreneurs, they are interested in, how do I stand out in the crowded world of established brands with bigger budgets? So what is the benefit of an entrepreneur accessing a marketing consultant like yourself and your expertise to help them with their business and branding?
That's a great question. And I would like to answer that with a real example of a client that I worked with, and they were in business for 15 years. The company is known as Penske Trust Company, and they had been around for 15 years, successful but little known to the media and really to the opportunity in their marketplace. And so they hired me to help them grow their brand awareness and revenue. So we embarked on a strategic marketing program, including PR, and I helped them triple their assets to $3 billion in less than 3 years as an outside marketing consultant. And at one point, they invited me to come inside and be their VP of marketing. And I thought about it honestly for about a week. It was tempting. But I wasn't ready to go back inside, as we say, and I gave them a counter proposal, though they were very disappointed. They said, yes, we will try that. And so that became a 7-year client. And so it was very successful. So it's definitely proven that you can tap into the experience from consultants like myself and help grow an existing brand like them or a startup.
You brought up a really good point. The natural inclination of most entrepreneurs is I've got to hire this person full time, but yet their business is evolutionary and rapidly changing. And so maybe the person you hire full time at the early stage of your business is not going to be the person that you need or the skill set you need when you're at a later stage. So you offered a great opportunity for them to probably hire just the pieces of your expertise for the time they need you and be able to evolve that, cost model up and down, I would imagine.
Exactly right. In fact, what we did was we phased in different marketing programs. And as tech changes, I was able to introduce new ways to market. We were the first to have an ebook in the industry, to have a webinar series. We were doing very innovative things before these were known marketing strategies and tactics.
Awesome. When an entrepreneur is trying to differentiate the value of their business, what strategies work better? I see this a lot when you've got a global, a global brand that might be have customers that are well educated on what they do, and they don't have to explain themselves. But then you've got a startup that doesn't have that instant knowledge when they and recognition when they see the brand.
Well, I think you have to start with the marketing messaging. Of course, we all know mission, vision, but messaging is critical. And when speak of messaging, not just the messaging of your product or your service, but also your company, your culture, how that affects the customer journey, how does that affect the messaging within, as I said, the company. So you want to speak the same language and also be very, very clear. What is that value proposition? I see with software companies, a lot of times, if you ask about their business, they will talk to you in almost another language. And you walk away going, how does that work? So it really starts with clarity of messaging.
Clarity of messaging and simplifying it to a point that somebody understands what it is once they get the message out there. That's great.
And there's a lot to that. I had been in China several times, and one of their challenges they had expressed was that their companies frequently would just differentiate on price, commodity. And you need to go way beyond that, especially if you're marketing outside of your own country. So there's a lot of, depending on the industry and depending on your market, but it comes down to what is that messaging and how do you communicate that effectively?
So, a startup has a lot of really awesome things that big established companies don't have. And you hit on a few of them. Flexibility, you're probably more likely to let them work from anywhere. And a lot of people don't want to go back to the office. So you want to make sure that's in your value proposition and messaging that you're putting out there to attract talent. Because, hey, we don't care where you work. We don't really have an office. We're a virtual company, or we have a small office and we don't have a lot of space. So you work from anywhere you want.
Right.
And that's a big value. Yeah. And I think the other thing we see is, especially in the leadership roles or even in the technology roles, is they have the ability to offer options. Some are offering stock options, whereas the established companies don't. So those are things that you want to frame and market and promote to attract talent.
That is such a key point, Carl. Offering stock options, offering to be a single or double-digit employee, not an employee, but an outside consultant, but having some stock options is definitely something to take advantage of and offer. And again, that's differentiating your value as a company.
I think one of our phrases that's resonated the most is an opportunity to be a big fish in a small pond with a bigger impact.
Exactly.
And that's what people, they're like, I'm tired of being a cog in the wheel,
And also, if you think about what is the big resignation, why is that happening? And is it because they don't want to travel to work or the commute, or is it that they're confined to this little office and they're not motivated? What's the reasoning behind that? And how can companies figure out, well, how can we bring them back in, but in a more flexible way?
Absolutely. The role of the CMO in all organizations today has changed with technology, with the internet, with video technology being more prevalent and digital marketing, et cetera. So what are your thoughts on today's modern CMO and what does that look like?
One day I was thinking about that, and this idea came to me that I really look at the role of the modern marketer, the CMO, more like a film director, producer type of role. When you think about how valuable and important storytelling is, and that's critical to, again, conveying your messaging. And so they're a chief storyteller. They have a cast of characters, whether that would be their employees, their customers, there's the board, their board, they have a whole cast of characters. And then there's also all the different ways to communicate the message. And as you mentioned, there's social media, you have your brand ambassadors, you have your influencers. There's so many different marketing channels available today than there used to be: print, TV, radio. So you have so many more choices. That would be like channels of distribution for the film. And then most important, box office hit. So you want your brand to be a box office hit, but you want it to be more like a series because it's not a one-hit wonder. And so that's how I look at it, as almost redefining the entire organizational chart. Everything else is being disrupted. Why not change that? So that's how I see it.
So Robyn, on the idea of partnering and the value of leveraging established company brands, you had a couple different examples we've talked about before. Can you share one that is with a very small company and how they were able to do that very successfully?
Yes, I will. I was working with a management consultant, and he wanted to write a book about a thick book on his management consulting expertise over the years, many, many, many years. And he was struggling with getting this book out of his head, which I'm sure a lot of people watching have probably thought of writing a book, and the idea is just daunting. And so I suggested, instead of writing the huge book, why don't we start with a smaller book and call it the top 10 or 20 tips to growing your business. And so together we worked through the tips, and I narrowed it down to 10. And then I had this idea to approach a bank that would be targeting business owners. And rather than hand out another brochure about how wonderful their company is to these growing business owners who don't have time to read a brochure, let alone anything else, why not give them something more valuable like Mike's book? So I had a couple of meetings with my contact at Citibank and approached them. And at first they said, oh no, why would we want to buy a book? And how would we use that? And so the first meeting, no. The second meeting, maybe. The third meeting, I explained it a few different times about how they could use it for their business development reps, and they could give something of value when they're going and talking to prospective clients. And so they bought it, and they bought thousands of them. And so there's a strategic partnership that, again, I'm always looking for that win-win-win, and it was.
Well, and at the end of the day, the entrepreneur, the consultant, ended up get his brand in front of, as an expert, because he wrote a book, in front of all of the bank's clients that he would probably in his lifetime never be able to approach if he did it on his own. Very, very good.
Yes, so there's an example. You can be a small business, new business, growing business, and you can definitely connect with big business.
Fantastic. Well, thanks again. Well, I know we've covered a lot of ground in a short period of time, and we probably could cover a lot more, but we do have a limited amount of time. So I just wanted to say, thank you so much for today. It's a great conversation. I hope our viewers were able to get some tips and takeaways. Is there any final tip you'd like to share with our audience?
One final tip, and that's one of my favorite subjects, is the power of PR and how underutilized that is to grow your brand. So again, you saw it in my video. I have been using that for many, many years. Yes, I have a marketing degree, but never really, I don't even remember reading about PR until I just embarked on that process myself. So to really learn and understand how you can use storytelling and how you can share your message with the media, and cultivating those type of relationships are critical to brand building and super effective. So I do have a 10-minute quick video that anybody that's more interested in learning the PR process can take a look into that. It's pr-course101.com. They can enroll and in 10 minutes get a taste of that.
Thank you. I really appreciate the time together today. And for anyone interested in learning more, we'll have some information at the end of our session here. And if you're interested in engaging someone, either Robyn or other interim leaders for your company to fill gaps and they're on your leadership team, we do place people full-time as well as interimly, and we'd be happy to talk to you about how we can help. Thanks again.
Thank you, Carl.
Bye now.